We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. I want it, love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah. What I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what he say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yes, what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like you're chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah. What I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. You find the keys,
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixers 'cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing love, holding on to life, feeling alive. Chasing life, chasing life. chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get off you. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the night, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the night, chasing the night.
We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. Love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't, I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what to say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yeah, it's what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like a chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. You know what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need.
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixers cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high. Chasing the light, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night, holding on for feeling the high, chasing the night, holding on for life, feeding the high, chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and what a special evening we have planned for you this Monday night. Well, Monday on my side of the world might be whatever time it is on your end of the world. Thank you for joining us wherever you are coming from, because we appreciate the international nature of our Racing Club International name. So, guys, coming at you tonight, V12 Vantage Cup at Barcelona. Cars that don't get a lot of love, but when they do come out, commentators talk about the screamy motors. And that is exactly what we are going to be in store for tonight. Racing in these cars, something that I haven't been able to see in a grid this size. I mean, it's absolutely massive. 30-something cars on the grid line up in the free practice that we're joining into right now. I've also got an honorable co-commentator joining us for the first time in the booth, and he goes by the name of Ruan Hreiling. And of course, you'll hear a South African joining me here. So 2 South Africans, and of course, Jake Boswell going to be doing the cams. So Ruan, good to have you with me, man.
George, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Guys, I'm so excited for tonight. I don't think there's anything better than having a V12 scream down the back straight. I can only imagine having goosebumps standing in the crowd having it. So this is going to be amazing being with you guys. Can't wait. I see the top 15 is only split by 600ths of a second. Oh, that actually got closer now. So lost another 15 of a second. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be close. Let's see what happens. Hope it's clean.
You're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. I mean, free practice coming to a close. Nice to just see that the time's very, very close in free practice. And of course, they go over to a 15-minute quali session. So not a lot of time for them to get around the track. Decent enough quali so that it doesn't feel like you've only got 1 or 2 laps. But yeah, bit of a shootout going to come down. So all the practice going to come to really one point, and that's about getting your car towards the front of the starting grid. Barcelona, one of those tracks that for me is good for GT3 racing. I enjoy it. I enjoy driving it. I enjoy spectating it. It's an all-round circuit for me, and I've always had good races myself when I've driven here, but I've also had some good spectator races. So hoping for it to be along the same sort of margin of what I'm going along with there. And to be honest, so many cars on the grid, it's going to be absolute chaos coming into turn 1, Ruan.
Yeah, that is so true. Turn 1, we know, in any race is always a tight situation. So guys will need to keep their heads clean, keep their noses clean, keep the damage of the cars, because we all know coming back after the first lap with damage just upsets your whole race, and after that it's a battle just to get in front. By saying that, the guys are quick. They've shown that in the practice. Let's see if they can do that with qualifying. They've only got 15 minutes. 15 minutes only gives you a few laps to get back into that groove, get back into the feeling of the car. The tires aren't there just yet. Fuel load might be different, so let's see what the guys do. I'm sure they'll get up in some quick times really quick.
So right now, everybody going to try and find themselves some track position out on the circuit. As we can see, Mr. Richard Skin in that 619 finding himself already bustled for space, and it's not going to be easy to get some fresh air with 30 plus cars on the grid. Not a lot of space to find some rhythm that Ruan was talking about, and you do want to get into that, and you want to try and get a banker lap in as quick as you can and then start to chase it down. But right now you can just see the cars bunched themselves up, almost immediately exiting the pits, and that's not going to change throughout the circuit unless someone changes their driving habits. And you know, racing drivers are racing drivers. They generally give each other some space towards the end of the lap to set a time out, you know, for a competitive line. But you know, we don't know how to predict everything. These guys are, you know, sim racing drivers by heart, so that means that they want to get themselves the best edge, and they want to get themselves the best possible chance at doing something. So as we come into the final chicane here with the driver that has got himself out in front of all that traffic, that's going to be Chris Heineke, all the way from here in South Africa. So good to have South Africans joining all around at RCI in the booth as well as on the track. Quite a few South Africans here as well, should I say. And Chris Heineke here going to take us on a hot flying lap down into turn 1 before he slams onto the brakes, tries to get the front of that V12 Aston Martin back around through that early chicane. Then for turn 3, it's all about carrying momentum, not getting too much understeer, and you can see Heineke struggling a little bit with that understeer under the exit. Then under the Repsol bridge again, onto the brakes for the right hand hairpin. Hold it, carry the speed, find that go pedal, and get on it as quick as possible before again having to abort this lap. Actually, Chris Heineke, he's made a mistake, so he's going to let that car in front through, and that's going to be Marcus Stain. So we're going to jump on board with him as he continues to find that fire and that rhythm again. Now you start to make your way up the elevation. Lots of grip to be lost through there if you're too eager on the accelerator, and in this curb the right-hander can just throw the weight transfer of the car out. You can invalidate going wide. It's very difficult to make sure you get a clean lap in, but this back straight lets you wind that V12 up onto the splitter cam. We get to see the front apex of that left-hander carrying speed through, using the runoff on the right-hander, using the curb through this left and right, and then just again carrying that balance, not letting the weight get the best of you before finding yourself into what a lot of people don't like about Barcelona, this final chicane. But this is where everything gets corked up in the races, and this is where a lot of people can carry momentum around. Carry the speed through the final corner. Now the right-hander onto that happy loud pedal. You go down towards the line. What does Marcus Stain said here? 145.312 to see us away, and you're going to see some times coming in there as all the drivers go over the line. Pimlott goes over the line. That's going to be Neil Pimlott into third place with a 145.636 as Bashir Jadwad slots into second place, 145.591 coming down. Guglia tops out on the first flying lap, so 145.120. It's just going to be a chopping and changing throughout the water run.
Yeah, Yes, George, we'll have to see these first probably 1 or 2 laps, see so the guys settle down into the rhythm, also get some space on the track, because it seems a lot of guys are backed up in the beginning and the middle of the track, and the center is sort of open. So as soon as everybody gets a bit of more space, more groove, they'll get up there. But guys are quick, they're setting close lap times, competitive lap times. I'm excited for this. I want to see, who was it? No, I can't remember his name, excuse me. He was really quick in practice, so we'll see what happens from there.
Wade
Excited.
Claessens was up at the top of practice at the end of it, and he had to invalidate his lap previously on that first flyer. So he sits in second place at the moment. Nate, that third place as Marvin Steer in that number 159 slots himself in between. But like you said, a lot of times improve throughout the duration of quali, and that's because the grip levels also improve as more drivers put some layers of rubber out onto the circuit. They're pushing with new sets of tires, they do a couple of laps, they jump back to the pits, new set of tires. There's a lot of rubber going down, a lot of grip to be found, and if you can time that lap perfectly down to getting it to the wire, quali ends and you're doing a final lap, that's the maximum amount of grip you're going to get in the quali session compared to everybody that's out on circuit at the moment.
Especially with track temperatures as they are, George. It's 29 degrees. Rubber will get really sticky, really pretty, if you want to call it that. It'll stick, so the guys will be quicker at the end of qualifying. That is for sure. They're already going quicker. Heineke up to 44.9. Then below him is Steyn at a 100th down, 200th down. Oh, Heineke crowd goes quickest. There's 144.9 flat. So also separated first three by 100th of a second. That is really close.
Indeed it is. Kevin Kraus gets the crown temporarily. 8 minutes left to quali. Things could still change. We haven't seen a pole sitting leader for more than what has felt like a minute. Gets chopped and changed up so quickly, and it's all about finding that time, especially in a series like this where all the drivers are in the same automobiles. They are powered equally. They've got obviously the setup freedom that Assetto Corsa Competizione awards them. So if you are a setup freak, then maybe you find a little bit more out of the car. But as you can see, I mean, all the way down now to 20th place, separated by less than a second. So these cars, nice and evenly balanced in terms of power. All comes down to the drivers, and so many drivers signing up and getting involved with this. What a great showing. So massive thanks to all the drivers for doing this. Shout out to all our viewers as well for being out in the chats, supporting us as we get to broadcast this action. Without you guys, this wouldn't all be possible. And again, thanks to our race partners. We'll chat about them a little bit later on when we get into the race side of things. But, you know, for now, Bashir Jadwat from ATK, one of those South Africans, a different South African to who we followed for that opening lap. This time, Bashir, I mean, I can talk for days about how quick that man can go. So good to see him getting up towards the front. This man as well for the Connection Lost Racing team. I mean, normally they run the car 404. Makes sense with Connection Lost. But Martin Lawrence currently in 5th place and looking to find something else. He is up on his lap time, a 10th up out of the final chicane. Last corner to go. And does he manage to use this 10th to top Heineke? He tops a couple of drivers. Martin Lawrence, beautiful lap comes out. A 144.865 puts him in 2nd place. Guglia, another drive up in his time. I mean, if we look at our timing sheet at the moment, looks like a Christmas tree at a drag strip. It's lighting up with deltas green, deltas red, drivers up, drivers down, some in the pits, some out on the track. It's absolute chaos. We haven't even got to the race just yet. We're still in quali and there's still 6 minutes to go. So the hype is real. I know that there's more pace to be found. They're nearly on pace 898. Out the last corner over the line is not going to, or is going to jump up to 6th place. So does better his time. Jan Matthias also goes and betters his time. So you know what, Ruan? I feel like last 2 minutes is the only time that you really can start to make any sort of prediction at this phase. I mean, look all the way down to 23rd place, less than a second between them. So The timing sheet doesn't quite know how to deal with this, doesn't know how to display all the drivers that we've got in the lobby, but just look at that. Look at that. All the way down. It's 24th place, actually, that is sub 1 second. That's Stephen Key, who actually jumps up to 6th place as we get to follow him for the end of his lap.
Now, that would be the opposite of a commentator's curse. As you followed him, he went quicker. So, Stephen Key, well done.
I like
see
you,
all the
Ruin. I
guys-
mean, you highlight the positive commentators, non-curse. Commentators blessing. It's a new thing now.
You know, as a guy that's watched a lot of racing, the commentators always get the flack for changing the camera or watching the wrong guy, and then he slides or he slips, he bumps someone, and then it's commentator's curse. So we take what we can get.
Yeah, I like the commentators' blessing. Morgan McCall maybe needing a little bit of the commentators' blessing. He's got that unlucky number 13 next to his qualifying slot, so he's looking for something.
He's up there. See, they're going close. Googlia is up there going through the chicane, coming down to the end of his lap.
It's a quick lap. This is a quick lap. He's half a second up, so if he gets this lap in, this is going to be pole for Googlia. He's going to go over the line. He does go pole with it as well.
Well done. Great.
That's
by 300ths of a second.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, it wasn't just pole, it was smashing pole, and Jadwad, Lawrence, and McHugh all looking back going, how did this guy find 3/10? We were all kind of together, and Alexander Googlia has thrown that proverbial spanner in the works.
Finding 3/10s in cars that are all the same. It's just a setup difference. Track is the same, conditions are the same. So it's the driver and his setup. And finding half a second within the first top 10 between you and 10th is really good. Between you and second 300s, that's even better. So that'll take some pressure off him. Hopefully he can keep it up for the first lap or two. Get that gap between him and second going, and then he should be away. But we all know that's not always how it goes. So let's wait and see what happens in the first 15 minutes or so of the actual race.
You're not wrong. I mean, qualifying just one small little step on the step ladder to get to the top, and you know what? It's an hour-long race as well, so it's kind of on the sprintish side of things, not quite an enduro race, but you know, an hour's worth of racing is a good period of time for you to really dial in what you need to get done. I mean, if you haven't found your time already during quali, you might be finding it up later. Jadwad and Lawrence both up a 10th now into the final chicane. Jadwad quite wide on the exit coming out. Will come across the line shortly. Will give us that update. Does he better his time? He does. A 10th there. 2/10 off the leader. Lawrence is also trying to chase down. Not quite in the same shoes at the moment. He's lost his 10th into the last chicane and will come down over the line. Don't think he's going to get too much closer here. Does not better his time. And with 2 minutes 30 on the clock, definitely a possibility for both Jadwad and Lawrence to potentially find something up against Googlia. Googlia, he's jumped into the pits. He's got his sippy cup out. He's got the fan on. He's preparing for the race. That's where you want to be towards the end of you don't want to be chasing. You want to be cool as a cucumber. And Googlia thinks that 3/10 is enough padding for him to get the blowers on.
It would definitely seem that way. I hope he's got a nice cool drink. He can refresh himself and get out there and go full on. We all know after qualifying like this, the nerves are shot. You start shaking. Well, I do. So get that little bit of nerves out. Shake your hands a little bit. Shake your feet. Get ready for the hour's race, because in that hour, everybody pushes their hardest. They try their utmost best to go as quick as they can. By doing that, it's really tiresome. So as you said, an hour, it's almost a sprint, but it's just not a sprint. An hour is just long enough to really get you tired, get you mentally drained. When you're done, you just want to, I'm finished with that. It was a good race, enjoyed it. So an hour, I think, is a great time for a race.
Right, just because it's your first broadcast with me, I won't make you remake that sound again and again and again over for the internet.
Sorry.
In your future ones, I will make you read these sound effects because I love it, and you might you might find yourself in a couple of interesting clips. But 2/10 up is Martin Lawrence. This is what he needs to maybe find out here. And does Googler? He doesn't. Lawrence still cannot top the crown, as unfortunately 38 seconds on the clock. It's going to be this last lap really for Lawrence to get it in. This will be essentially his final attempt, and he's only half of 100th of a second off of the likes of pole position. So Quade Claessens, the man who was doing a great job in pole, currently not really up towards the front of the order as he was in practice, and maybe struggling a little bit coming into quali. But the ATK Racing 124 definitely got some pace to still bring out. We see him finding a couple of tenths definitely into the last sector. Didn't get to follow along with him throughout the duration of the race. Not quite sure where he's quicker and where he's slow at this phase of the race, but at this phase of quali. But right now, quali's done. In 12th, he sits. Does he better himself? He'll come across the line. I don't think it's going to be enough for Claessens. It is going to be more. He is going to get himself into the top 10. So good lap actually coming out from Quade Claessens. Good job. 144.499 coming, 4922 coming out. So definitely starting to get closer and closer. Everybody, as predicted, finding the last couple of tenths. Everything that you can milk out as a sim racing driver, you're going to find. And all these drivers out on laps now, this is where things can change up. 4 tenths up for Marcus Steyn. This could be a monumentous effort from 13th place. He needs to find something big. He will go third on the delivers. I mean, that is what a lap coming out. And Lawrence does top Googler on the final lap as well. So Googler out? Googler is out on a lap. He's a 10th up too. So Lawrence might not be able to celebrate just yet. And Googler coming into some traffic, is a 10th up, does not want to get caught, won't get caught up in that traffic. Does he keep that 10th up? He needs to keep this 10th. And I think that Googler, I said he was going to look good. He's run very wide. He might have lost that 10th. He might have to settle for second here. Crosses the line. Does have to eat the humble pie of Lawrence's final deliverance lap. What a lap that Martin Lawrence managed to bring out. And it will wrap up the end of qualifying as well. So Ruan, as we prepare ourselves, I mean, if you signed up for your first broadcast, you're going to be in for a little treat, because these cars are going to bring us something special, and we get the talented driver lineup that is going to make them so special. So without the driver lineup, we wouldn't be able to have these cars racing the way that we do. So I think a massive shout out to all of our drivers again for taking part in our V12 Vantage Cup event here at Race Club International. And of course, my name, George Smith, bringing you the action with Ruan Kreling in the box, and of course, Jake Boswell handling the camera work and making sure that Ruan and I behave ourselves in the box. So taking a look through the starting grid here, we'll get a flyby with our drone. Martin Lawrence lines up alongside Alexander Googler in second place. Marcus Steyn in that number 555. He's going to start third alongside Bashir Jadwad, who starts fourth in the number 83. Radzlo Maku starts fifth alongside Kevin Kraus in that number 1. All these V12 Aston Martins, of course, looking glorious with their paint jobs. Chris Heineke and Stefan Key will start in 7th and 8th, respectively. Jan Matjes and Quade Claessens. Matjes in that 256 and Claessens in the 124. They round out the top 10. And now, I mean, what you'd normally expect is maybe a couple of extra cars, but we have more for you today. On this grid, there are 42 cars, I believe. So it is going to be absolutely huge. Ismail Isain in 11th. Junior McCall starts 12th. Matteo Richter starts in 13th alongside Ryan Renoir in 14th place. Marvin Steer and Morgan McCall in 15th and 16th. Then we've got Charlie Kent, Neil Pimlott in 17th and 18th place. 19th for Billy Octane alongside Jonathan Bent to round out the top 20. And that's only halfway through the grid walk as we go down. Jan Saganowski in that number 991 starts in 21st. Jordan Daly in the 197 starts 22nd. Steve Banks starts alongside Florin Atswanger in 24th place. Alexander Lackey 25th with Afi Batate in 26th place. Zyko Madzo starts 27th. 28th for Zach Simmerl. 29th for Ian Watkins. And Andriy Shumerin rounds out the top 30 drivers in that number 46. Looking further back, Richard Skinner in that number 619 starts 31st. Robin Klaus in 32nd. Tomas Seganoy starts 33rd. 34th for Gagli Mazak. 35th in that number 95, Declan Bowler. Looking forward to making up positions, I'm sure. And then 36, Salty Konegliski starts in 36th place. Bobby Pennington, 37th. Peter Jacob starts 38. Jan Simon starts 39th. Sebastian Guren, Steven De Vust, and Alex Parkin make up the cars all the way down to 42nd place. So many cars line up here. Our drone gives us those final shots that, again, I talk about the paint jobs. Everybody's put in top class effort. We will be able to talk about the paint at some stage because there's just so much variety to talk about. But with 30 seconds left on the clock for these drivers to finalize their setups, we're about to hear these engines starting up for not the first time, because we heard them for quali, but for the first time on the starting line, and obviously in full format. They will go out on a single formation lap, and then they will line up alongside 2x2, and that's how they will start the race as a rolling start, as is tradition in the GT3s. And very shortly we will hear those engines start up. So Rune, I'm gonna put you on the spot just a little bit. Are you gonna pick a favorite car and driver as a winner off the bat?
Ooh, that is such a tricky question. So, as a South African, I would like to choose the South African.
No,
As
you
we
can't
always
do, that's
do.
my
And
that's not my thing here. You can't just take my thing.
But
I'm kidding, you
Jadwat
can.
is
You
just
can
so
take.
good. Jadwat is
Okay,
my
so
man.
Bashir-
I've been following him for a while.
Bashir
Yes.
Jadwad going to be the prediction coming out from Ruin. I'm
a man for me.
quite keen to see what our pole sitter Martin Lawrence and Alexander Guglia get up to. I'm a little bit torn between the two, and part of me doesn't want to pick the pole sitter. So Alexander Guglia gonna get my hopefully good juju out on the circuit today, and our pole sitter Martin Lawrence for the Connection Loss Racing team in that 171 Aston Martin V12 Vantage will lead us away. Here it is, Ruan. This is the slowest we'll see them go, and this is where you have to just take it all in.
Yeah, if you just look at all of these skins and liveries that the guys have done, it's just amazing. I was saying that Guglia, as you said, Nana, is really quick on pace, so your choice might not be so far off. If he gets out in front, he'll be gone. I'm almost sure of that. Yeah. So having the guys on the outlaps, mostly they have to reheat their tires, just keep it warm, just keep it going, try and get their nerves settled. For one,
Yeah, that is
driving
that is
in single file.
that is always such a massive thing is the nerve side. I mean, having this number of cars on the grid, you cannot not be thinking about if someone makes a mistake coming down into that first corner. It's a big straight for things to start off for the race, and then you do come into a hard braking point. So it needs to be clean, and I think that the stewards looking at us through the glass, giving them a little wave. Hello, stewards. We're hoping that you guys don't have a busy start, because of course we've got a couple of stewards just making sure that all these guys behave themselves out in the circuits. And of course, it's up to the stewards to decide who gets awarded those penalties when mistakes are made. So 2 by 2, they start to get the race directors' communications, and they are going to get into formation now to start, to head up to the... Look how many... There's too many cars for the race to really start even. As our leaders are coming through the exit of the chicane, there's cars that haven't even got through the right-hander before the chicane. So Martin Lawrence going to slow the pack down. Guglia going to line up alongside. And I mean, the only thing that differs between these cars is the paint that's on them, and of course the setups between them, and the driver that sits on the seats. And green lights to go. We're live with the V12 Vantage Cup. Lawrence going to lose out on the start almost immediately, as they're going to go side by side. Lawrence going to have the inside line here, but they are going to go four abreast in the background of all the action. Can they get through here cleanly? It will be down to Lawrence and Guglia to lead the charge. Guglia will have the inside line over the curb, is going to force someone out wide. Most of the drivers seemingly getting through okay, but look at Jadwad with the charge. He's trying to capitalize on everything that's being made as a mistake between the drivers in front. I think, oh, there's a driver off just before the bridge. That will be the end of their drive. And there's a driver with the drive-through penalty as well. Things are going to stack up. Things are going to change. The timing sheet is going to give an update very shortly. But it is Lawrence that holds off Guglia. Looks like Jadwad doesn't manage to hold off to get up into third place. But as it looks like now, it's actually Kevin Kraus in second place there. So it's Guglia down to third. Yeah, he's made up big time. Kraus up into second. Guglia in third. And it really has changed up the order just a little bit here.
First laps are always crazy, and having 42 cars on Barcelona.
No, it was, sorry, Ruben, it was just the timing sheet that was playing with us. It was Guglia that was chasing down in that grey V12. So the 898 gives us confirmation over the timing sheet. Almost halfway or 3/4 of the way into the lap, we get a final confirmation. But yeah, it was right. Guglia was fighting for second, was McCoo in third. Kraus was the guy in fourth place, and it actually wasn't at all the likes of Jadwad to be up there and fighting with it, because it looks like, Ruin, you might have given some commentators curse out to Jadwad, because I don't see him on the timing sheet at all. Chris Heineke is in the midst of a battle behind him. You can see two red Aston Martins fighting it out. Might have the inside line. Heineke going to hang it out wide, and the number 96 going to try. Oh, look at the space that these guys are trying to make through turn 3. Tight and holding the apexes. You need to carry it, and you need to get into the slip as quick as possible. So if you're going for an overtake, you're going to be losing out on that slipstream effect. And right now, it's all about holding on to every car in front, not losing a car behind. McCall in to 10th place. He holds out the top 10, and it looks like McCall going to be putting pressure onto Heineke here. So two South Africans there in 9th and 10th doing a good job. Claasen's in front of them actually in 8th, so a little stack of South Africans find themselves out in the order. But Martin Lawrence up the front, he's having such a good battle out with Guglia. Guglia has not given him any breathing room, and this is what you need to do with a race leader. You need second place to stick it to him, let him fight for it, and give you good racing across the board.
We know Guglia is fast. It seems he might be just holding off a bit to create a gap between him and third, because they are bunching up a bit and running away with it. Slowly but surely, one turn at a time. But it seems like they are building a bit of a gap. And with that gap, we know half a second is enough to get the guys behind you to fight for position of third, and then you just keep chasing away those time. So Guglia and Lauren in front, they are doing really well. But in the back, Heineke, they're just going down the straight, 4 wide, 2 Oh, the racing is just so close, nose to tail. Oh, brilliant.
They are going to stay 2 abreast as they come into turn 1. If you've got the inside line, it turns into the outside line, and inside line then for turn 3. So you just got to keep yourself in a good position, and it can all benefit you from there. And right now, it is the mid-pack that is really benefiting from the battles that are taking place, because everybody that stacks up from here backwards to 23rd place is all going to just have cars across their HUDs, their timing screens, letting them know that there's deltas to be made up, as we see Richter here in that 347 battling for 12th place, but seems to have been robbed out down to 13th, even 14th place. It's changing up as they go through into, oh, there's an Aston Martin facing the wrong direction, and that's going to be into the wall as well for them. So that's going to be the end of that car's race as the field continues round. Richter continues to try and find a little bit of room on a track that normally feels a little bit bigger than it is, but it's made absolutely tiny by the sheer number of cars here. Oh, car parked in the middle of the apex there as well. Red and black Aston Martin Vantage. Not quite sure which driver was facing the wrong direction. Trying to see who's barging their way down the order, but not seeing a immediate updates as to who that potentially could be. But not a good place to have your car spun around. Good job from a lot of the drivers there to avoid the chaos and get through there cleanly. But up at the front, it's not often that we get to have a front pack battle. Normally 3rd, 4th, and 5th seem to be fighting out, and 1st then goes and sets a nice little gap for themselves, and that's not what Lawrence is able to do at the moment. So Alexander Guglia keeping the good fight up at the front in that number 898. And lap times, they are just matching each other, waiting for a mistake to be made, is Guglia. Lawrence just going to keep himself on the inside apexes wherever he needs to be. And, if they slow themselves enough, McHugh gets into this. And then 4th, 5th, 6th battle with 2nd. And 1st place kind of gets a bit of breathing room. So not in a bad place up the inside. Heineke with a big send. The cutback from the 991 potentially going to be here. Saganowski does not want to lose out, so there's going to be in an awkward position coming in here. They're still going to give each other room. It looks like Kent also going to try and slide by in that blue Aston Martin on the outside. Saganowski gets through. Kent will go alongside Heineke after having to ease off a little bit. Has lost out 3-4 position. Pimlott also going to come through in that little bump coming in as well. Charlie Kent gets run into, or gets away, but it will be Pimlott. Gets a little bump from behind, and it still looks like Heineke fighting it out. Richter potentially looking to get up in the order, and I feel like Heineke losing almost 4 positions in that last sequence of corners, trying to get through. I think that Richter even gets through the likes of Heineke behind the likes of Kent that we follow along now. Marcus Stain under attack from Kraus. And the number 1 going to try and send it towards the inside. Does get the inside. Is the cutback potential there? We know that turn 3 is where you really make it up for the straights. But it does look like Kraus going to just stay ahead there. And a good job at showing us a couple of places where overtakes are possible. And also shows us any mistakes in a field like this. You just lose out so many positions.
Yeah, especially with a field this big. If you've got a lot of cars in a train coming behind you and you just go off your line a little bit. 1 lets by 2, lets by 3, and then before you know it, you're down 3 or 4 positions fighting back just to get into that rhythm again. Because the guys are quick, they want to be on you, they want to be in front of you, so they are fighting really close. See Heineke staying pretty consistent, going back a bit. Watkins back 200s from Daly, and he goes through, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he does.
You're right. That is. He makes the pass on Daly, gets that done nice and clean.
Brilliant.
And not
That was such a clean pass.
Again, it's not an easy sort of rhythm part of the track, and you can lose out quite hard. So potentially going to see some more of that. Claessens, does he maybe find a way past Mathias. Mathias runs very wide before
Very well.
the chicane, and it's not a place that you can really make a move coming in, and it's all about more about carrying the exit out. So drivers that make those mistakes, Claessen's here in that 1-2-4, gonna have to just be careful that he doesn't get caught up. Morgan McCall trying to catch up to the likes of Mathias. And you can see both the ATK cars in similar colored liveries, those red ones. So it gets a bit confusing between McCall and Claessen's at times. But it is McCall that is trying to get past Mathias. Claessen's running away from them a little bit in front. So right now, Mathias going heavy defensive inside line. Does McCall go around the outside? He's going to try stick it, but it's not going to be the ideal line. Going to try and look for a little bit of a cutback now. Going to see if the inside line opens up. Not going to be able to go alongside there. Stettles back behind the number 256 as they make their way down some elevation before this left-hander, and they make their way back up through the hilly section. So Morgan just going to have to find a way through. Does feel like Mathias has to stay defensive, and that's costing Mathias time. It's also then slowing McCall down on where he can go to. But as you see that rear facing splitter, we get an angry face all of V12 Vantage. Going to try for a wider line through that carries speed onto the inside. This could be a good pass from Morgan McCall. It's going to go alongside. Yeah, I think he's got the move done. Room granted, still going to have to be on the outside. The 256 going to be into the inside for the right-hander. It all comes down to where they go for the chicane. McCall going to have the line on the inside. Can he slow the car down enough? He can. Morgan McCall, great bit of driving coming out there. And he's going to just get that move done on Mathias in such a smooth way that Mathias not going to really know what he did wrong coming into that. It was that left-hander after the straight that really allowed McCall to get the rhythm.
It seemed like McCall set that up a quarter of a lap before he actually did the overtake. That was absolutely brilliant. He got the run out of the chicane as well, so down the back straight, and he seems to have made that stick way easy.
Richter and his mates are battling it out, as is Mathias. He's now maybe going to lose out to Renault there. He doesn't want to have what happened on the previous lap with McCall. He's going to try and get the inside lines where he can. And it is going to be down to Ryan Renault to try and see if he can find... Oh, that's going to be close, raising the cutback potentially going to be here. Does he get onto the accelerator quicker in that white V12 behind? That 732, of course, in the white livery paint, and Mathias in the orange. So Renault all over the back of Mathias like a bag of ants that has been released upon the sugar. And Mathias not going to be happy with losing out time once again. He's losing out a lot of time battling on track. Renault going to be forced onto a wider line through the right-hander. And that's going to have to force him to just settle back again. It's all about reading the cars in front in the GT3s. It's a long man's game. Can't just make a move in a sequence of, half a lap. Kind of read out, find where the drivers in front are slower, find where you can find an advantage. And of course, you've got the slipstream as well to work with. And we can see that slipstream effect really going to play dividends, because that's really the only advantage you get being in the same car class. Onto the inside goes the 732, but Mathias, is he going to have the line out? It will not be there for him. The 732 will have the inside for turn 3, and that will be the move done, unless Mathias has something to answer back with. He's a couple of car lengths before the braking zone under the bridge, and not going to be able to... but it is late for the 732 on the brakes. Mathias maybe in here, won't have the inside line. Gonna have to try and do something around the outside or go for the cutback. What does he go for? Does he cut back through in here? Can't cut back, not enough space. And Mathias just sees the opportunity come through and then watches it blow away into the rubbish.
Renault doing really good at defending against Mathias. He's all over the road, making the Vantage as wide as possible. But I wonder if Matches was just not a little bit out of his rhythm and he lost, because he seems to be back on it and he's all over the back of Renault.
It's always
Going through
easier to follow, you know, like in these situations when you're trying to lead on a pack of cars here, following up and being able to like really see, okay, cool, he brakes there, I can brake later, I can like kind of squeeze onto the brakes, squeeze harder if I need to slow down more. I don't have to really carry I can always carry a little bit more speed out, and that's exactly Matches. He's out. Matches is he's decided he's going to go and serve that mandatory stop. He's going to jump into the pits, and it's a good call at this stage of the race. There is a mandatory stop to serve, so everyone will be pitting, and he's going to get himself out into some air that he's not going to have to fight with every driver that's on the track at the moment. So it's not always an easy decision to know, okay, cool, I'm going to go into the pits and make a strategic stop here. Pimlot, he's staying out on circuit, not going to go back in just yet, and he's trying to dive it out with the number 28 of Lackey. So Lackey gets through there on Pimlot, down into the braking zone of turn 1 and through the sequence up to turn 3. And Pimlot then loses out to the likes of Alexander Lackey. And Marvin Steer is trying to also just get himself past these cars in front that are having their scraps. Doesn't want to get impacted by the deity of following this unnecessarily. If you can get through, you know, being in that third position when two cars are battling in front, it's such a nice place to be, because these two cars, when they do go side by side and they have to give themselves that room, that car behind doesn't have to do that, and he can find the exit speed that these two wouldn't be getting, having to share the track with one another. So looking back from Lackey's wing, we can see the attack coming back from Pimlot, and then of course Steer behind at Swanger in 17th. He's also in this, possibly going to benefit from these guys bunching each other up, slowing each other down, apex by apex. It's all in the game. And Ron, talk to me a little bit about what's happening here up front, because it looks like it's the same as what happened on lap 1. Nothing separates these two.
There's absolutely nothing between Laurent and Guglia. They are on each other's bumper. Laurent seems to have it in the tail. He's keeping that delta right up in there, under half a second. Over 200s, it doesn't really fluctuate any more than that. So the guys are going back and forth. I think Guglia might be trying to push to the back of Laurent, and then you don't know. It seems like he's catching up, but as I say, Laurent is not pulling away. So it's 9 laps in and they still nose to tail. I can only imagine these guys are going to have one long battle during this race. Might come up
really
down to pit strategies for the two of them.
It's really not easy for Martin Lawrence to lead this kind of a race, because, you know, like I said, it's easier to kind of follow the driver and be in Guglia's position, and, you know, and that's also in inverted commas, because it's not easy to be in Guglia's position and be holding on to someone like Martin Lawrence, but at the same time, Lawrence is leading the race and having to make sure that he doesn't make those mistakes. So I think it's a bit of a fair balls worth of pressure between the two of them. You know, they even each other out. And right now, Lawrence, of course, he has the most to lose if he makes the mistake, and Guglia has the most to gain. Guglia has a little bit of room back to Maku. If there is a mistake that gets made, he can, you know, maybe get the car back on track ahead of who's coming down in third place. But between Lawrence and Guglia, one of them makes a mistake, that's the position done.
That's for sure. Following and leading is a double-edged sword. The guy in front, if he brakes a little bit too easy, the guy in the back pulls into him and gains time. If vice versa, if the guy in second brakes a little bit too late, he's going to lose time, because now he's sliding or he can't accelerate fast enough. So for the two of them to stay within half a second for 9 laps going on to the 10th one, that is absolutely brilliant. They are just gunning each other like crazy. I can't imagine being that close for that long in a race. These guys are just, they're doing so well. Key, I see, has got a 15-second penalty.
Yeah, I mean that's
That'll
so
affect his race.
key is in that that white liveried V12, and of course that 15 seconds then works into the hands of he's in the gray V12, and then that plays into the hands of Kraus in the red and sort of Lumo accented one behind, and then the pink number 555 belongs to Stain. So they kind of all benefit off of that 15-second penalty. And though McHugh, under a lot of pressure here, also knows that when Key goes into the pits, there's literally 3 cars behind him to resume the same amount of race pressure that he's feeling at the moment. So Key, when he goes to serve that 15-second penalty, he'll serve that during his pit stop, so you can add that on. You'll be stationary for a little bit longer. But for now, 15 seconds going to put him well down the order. So that's what you want to avoid in these sort of events, is picking up a live stewarding warning or accumulation of warnings or penalty points, because it really does, when everybody's so close to one another, it makes such a difference. Lackey here going to look for a move on Heineke, pulls alongside down into turn 1. Does he outbrake himself? He does. Heineke going to carry some speed. Lackey, no, not what you want to see. Lackey going to get massive penalties for what he just did there, because he missed the braking points. He played hopscotch over the anti-cut curbs, and he's taken out a driver that was competitive for position. So, I mean, I'm not a steward. I 100% will put my hands up in the air and say I don't do stewarding, but sometimes you see something that most certainly is untoward, and that was where a driver puts himself in a bad position and continues with that bad position. So unfortunate circumstances coming out with that is Neil Pimlott, the next car to get our gracious cameras once again. We do follow these guys quite a couple of times as they continue to keep those gaps between them very marginal indeed. Is that a big send coming up from behind? I couldn't quite see which car number that was. He's going to make it stick.
Brilliant. Who was that came from the back? Car 28. No, that's Lackey. So it was
No, it's
159.
23. It's Watkins. It's Ian Watkins that came with the send and managed to slow the car down. And it will be at Wang. Sorry, I don't know who's that yellow guy just behind him. Trying to just follow up with who just cut through that chicane, but he definitely got a little bit rattled up as Ian Watkins here going to see if himself and Lackey can go to abreast, and it is actually not going to be the case this time round. They are going to say, oh, but behind them there has been another touch into turn 2. Dirty turn 2s coming out, and last couple of laps we're seeing a couple of drivers making some mistakes. So stewards, they're looking at us through the glass window here. I'm sorry, but you're not going to be allowed to go home early today.
It would seem the guys are just starting to push that first 2 turns a little bit harder than they did previously, or their tires are just degrading, but I don't think that should be an issue just yet. I've seen a few turnarounds, and it's too bad for Heineke. Lost a lot of positions there, but it is what it is. It's racing. But this middle pack, Kraus, number 3rd, I mean, excuse me. It's just leading a long train. Key, Stain, Claessens, McCall. They're all just in a row. Close racing, the guys are doing brilliant. The lap times are just phenomenal. The guys are on each other's pace. There's no time to differentiate between them for real. It's just as car number 1 passes, who is that? Car number 1.
So that was the
Brilliant.
replay. That was the replay that we got to see of the
it's showing the
overtaking move coming through. Yeah.
Excuse me.
No problem. It was Kraus's little move coming through on McHugh to get 3rd place, and a nice bit of driving from the number 1 livery or number 1 numbered car. Always an interesting number choice. The number 1. A lot of leagues, allow that to... Oh, before we get to talk about that, look at this. In the mid-pack once again, it is going to be the likes of Ian Watkins, who now has a 15-second time penalty against his name. So remember, keep that in mind. 15 seconds, going to be a long time. Pimlot and Lackey going side by side through the exit of turn 4. It will be Lackey just ahead of Pimlot, and it will be Steer also who's trying to get into that action as well. Wide goes Martin Lawrence, and that's going to give the lead through to Guglia. So there's the mistake of Martin Lawrence. There's what happened. Ran wide onto the runoff and is going to have to resume in second place. So licking the wounds, and Alexander Guglia does get through. And Kraus, 8.8 seconds down the road from these two. So these two really putting the hammer on, definitely pushing each other. And they've got, of course, some backmark traffic that they will encounter for the next 30 minutes. And that's now maybe where the opportunity for Lawrence will open up again. Does Guglia get caught in traffic? Does this impact him? He's still got that mandatory stop to serve, all the way down to 23rd place as a mandatory stop to still serve. So plenty of strategy up in the open for these drivers to use out.
Also see that Kia's pitted early to clear his penalty, it would seem. I'm not sure what his strategy was, but I see he's into the pits, and he was up into 4th position, if I'm not mistaken. So might be taking an early penalty or pit stop there to clear that penalty, to get out and get some clean air, hopefully gain some time, and just, I don't know if he can do 15 seconds, make that up, but 15 seconds is an hour, 34 minutes left. So there's a lot that can still happen. Fatigue is a thing that sets in normally after about 40 minutes of such a race, so we'll see what happens after that. But the guys are just doing brilliant. Pimlot, Watkins, Lackey, they are just fighting with each other non-stop. Steer gets from Klaus. Is that Klaus got through on Steer? That was brilliant. What a move.
Pimlot on Steer.
Steer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It was
Pimlot.
Pimlot.
Yeah, so Pimlot's in the number 812 European race team V12 is looking to try and find a couple more positions out here on track. Has had some good lap times looking at the timing sheets. And definitely, once you've got some position gained, you want to capitalize on it. You want to, not find yourself having to defend because you've made a mistake coming in. So it's always important for drivers to make sure that they put a little bit of space between them. Guglia not able to do just that because Martin Lawrence is giving him a handful, as Guglia did to him. Definitely a little bit more of a gap between these two now after shifting positions, I'd say, than what we saw when Lawrence was leading him. So maybe Guglia was just, playing it back a little bit, sitting in the slip, saving his tires, and can push a little bit more. I say that as we come into turn 5, and Guglia does not get let free. Lawrence closes down. It's all theory craft, Ruan. It's all theory craft. These two are going to dance until the last of these 32 minutes.
Most definitely seem that way, George. They are just on pace. The two of them are so closely matched, and their driving is, their lines are just on point. They do not miss exits. The one exit that was missed, apex that was missed, resulted in a change of position. So these guys know how much they've got on.
They do indeed. Charlie Kencher in the 111. He himself on circuit finds himself under a bit of pressure from the likes of Richter behind. And right now, this is the battle within the top 10, and then the points that follow from there. So once you're into the top 10, eyes set on improving from there. Charlie Kent going to be trying his absolute hardest to keep Matteo Richter at bay. But that 347 going to be looking for something. The 111 running wide. Kent going to give this away for free down at the back stretch. Jan Saganowski definitely having a wheel failure issue in the pit lane as he comes to grinding halt, and the paintwork damage on the side of that car. So Saganowski, don't think that things have gone his way. Not what you always want to see. Ruin that looked a bit disappointing.
That is for sure. Not sure if that is an actual technical issue or he might have had a crash, but I'm sure that looks like a technical issue. After 30 minutes of racing, 15 minutes of qualifying, must be heartbroken.
Not what you want at all.
Oh, most definitely not. Oh.
So Maku gets tangled up a little bit there in some of the action. And the stewards once again going to be keeping an eye out to see what went down there. The number 124 of Claessen's going around the outside here of that was classy from Claessen's. And Maku not going to be able to defend that. McQuaid making his way through the order in that number 124 for ATK. Doing a good job at the moment, and now can have his eyes set on the likes of Stain in front of him. All up to drivers to now start to make those pit stop strategy decisions. You can see a couple of drivers will start to get a little green indicator next to their number. That means that they have served their mandatory stop. The little orange box with a 1 means that they have to serve 1 stop. If there were 5 stops to serve, that little number would be a 5, and so on. So this race, mandatory stops, no pit window for them to go through. My race director will give me an update on what the mandatory requirements for that pit stop are. Probably just a liter of fuel as a minimum, and that's all that they would have to take in. No requirement for tires. So if these guys wanted to, they could change tires. As long as they put in 1 liter of fuel, they're good to go. So splash and dash, probably the pit stop that you want to be going for. You want to time it as best as possible. Maybe you're running a little bit lighter. Maybe you're going for a lighter car for both parts of the race, and you want to take just the amount of fuel required to do those stints. It's all up in the air. It's all part of the racing side. Lots of these guys making these decisions themselves. They don't have a crew chief member behind them sort of saying, okay, cool, let's go into the pits now. You're kind of doing it on the fly while trying to battle out for position and, you know, maintain your running order and spot your braking points and where you need to go. It's a lot of complicated things that these drivers are doing, and to do it at these pace levels, what we want to see. And yeah, couldn't have asked for a better race so far as we get into just under our halfway point. Alexander Guglia leads us away. So it was Martin Lawrence, let me remind you, that mostly led the start of this race. Things changed up pretty quickly, very recently only, as Guglia got past. And that was because Lawrence made 1 mistake. And that was the only time that we saw him make a mistake. It was the only time that we saw the opportunity for Guglia to maybe get through. We've obviously followed action all around the field, but from what we've seen, that was the mistake, and it was just that just shows you the level of consistency between these two. So if you guys are new around here, please don't feel shy to like and subscribe. Share the stream with your friends and family if you guys want to get involved with racing. As I talk about this, does Guglia lose out to Lawrence on the inside? Not a place you can go. So Lawrence, gonna settle back. Let me do a little bit more housekeeping before he goes side by side. So if you guys are new, you want to get involved, join us in the Racing Club International Discord. That's where everything happens. Cool sign-up procedures going down for races, easy to access information, and plenty of helpful staff to help make everything come together. And of course, we have these races. We broadcast as many as we can. We're looking for staff members to get involved, from live stewards to broadcasters to commentators. If you feel like getting involved, again, hit us up in that Discord channel. All the links are below. Massive shout out to RaceDepartment AK Informatica, Race Phase Speed Labs, and Next Level Simulations for partnering up with us in our endeavors and making all of this possible. So housekeeping done and dusted. If you haven't tried racing here, what's wrong with you? Get involved. get joined up, and even if you don't want to race, there's something that we can slot you into, and you can assist, even if it's like I said, a stewarding perspective or commentary. We're always looking to get more people involved, and I get to say this every time to an audience of people. I love the sim racing community. I love what things have become, and I love the way that things have grown up during the period that has been very difficult for people, and it's a good release and a good place for a lot of people to just have a safe space. Ismail is saying here in 20th place, fallen down at the order a little bit. Matches and Key putting up some fights behind him, and that would be the number 256 and the 007 of Key. So Matches looking to try and get himself up the order, but of course has gone into the pits, and Hussein in front of him has not gone into the pits. Will be peeling in now to serve it. So a couple of cars out of pit. Look how many people are going into the pits as well. So 25 minutes, that's apparently where you put in a V12 Vantage at Barcelona.
We know that Aston Martin has a big tank, so I'm almost sure that it could do almost a full stint. But I think the guys, because there's a mandatory pit stop, they probably would have done their calculations and calculated which is better, to go for a full tank and try and push it as far as you can and just refuel with a splash and dash, or actually taking it for a proper stint of half a tank, for instance, and going from there. But I see Key, which had the 15-second penalty, is just behind Matches, which we know did not have a penalty as far as I remember, and he is pitted. So Key seems to be doing really good. Ew, as I say that, did he go off? Yes, he did. That is a commentator's curse. Oh. No,
I mean, it's only your first time doing comms out here. You've cursed Bashir Jadwad, you've cursed Stephen Key. You might be aiming for a new record here with commentators' curses, but I think Jesse Lee from Jesse Lee from Racing Club International, one of our fellow commentators, he'll be happy to hand over the commentator's curse badge. So we will be letting him know that we have a new contender potentially, as Kevin Kraus comes down through the left-hander, finds himself in 15th place. Junior McCall banks behind him. But if you look at that timing sheet of all the people that have pitted, Morgan McCall, Billy Octane, the front runners of the cars that have gone into the pit so far. So it'll be interesting to see how these two do in terms of their strategies. I mean, Billy Octane and Morgan find themselves in 9th and 10th place, right, as things stand. And 1st to 8th place still need to go into the pits, and they've been fighting out. Look at this. Traffic coming through. Googler can't get through. The number 46 needs to move out of the way of this. Where does Lawrence go? Lawrence wants to get onto that loud pedal quicker, and it will be the 46 to panic and spin out. Googler does navigate the traffic, and whew, that is a moment coming through. He'll be sweating under the brow. And Lawrence going to be maybe kicking himself a little bit, because that was a good opportunity for him to get a little bit closer up during the chaos. And right now, doing the right thing, really, Lawrence. Not making an incident where they were just trying to get through traffic. So, don't always listen to me. Be safe. Get to the end of the race. 22 minutes of racing. You definitely don't want to go through send-it moments at this stage. And you get to go onto these splitter cams. Really gets to give you a little bit of an insight as to how the cars handle out. You can see the body roll coming through with the suspension. You can see how the ground clearance works over the curbs. You can see where potentially they get unsettled by the curbs as well. And it's all going to be up to Googlia to just make sure keeps it between these lines as Lawrence gets later onto the brakes and just says, you know what, these ones can be pushed a little bit further.
Hello, here I am. Just a little nudge to tell Guglia that he's still there. Not nudge, I should say. A little hello to tell Guglia that he's still there. But Lawrence and Guglia are just... they are running away with this. They are so clean, so consistent. The guys are really doing brilliant racing. It's going on 40 minutes now. They've been apart by not more than a second, I think, for 1 minute of the race, and that is absolutely brilliant. So Macau
Morgan
takes a little bit of a
McCall
side.
Morgan McCall trying to have a little look on the inside there. Looked like he got a little bit unsettled and not quite sure. Is going to give the position back here. Does ease off, so does the right thing. Made contact, and McCall will hand that position back over. Of course, Morgan doing the right thing, and it will now be up to McHugh to try and use that to his advantage, try and get himself up the road a little bit further. As we see on the timing sheet, Heineke down in 23rd, added or given a 23rd, a 23 or 15-second time penalty. So not going to be what they wanted to get, and that's just an unfortunate circumstance. Sometimes you do pick up these penalties. So once again, McHugh and McCall going to be able to dice it out and see who's going to come out victorious this time round, hoping to not have a contact between them, and it will be a fair position. But Morgan got a lot of pace, and McHugh will be realizing this. They've both gone into the pits, so anything that they make or break will be here for position. Claessen's into the pits and exits the pits. So interesting to see where he stacks out compared to likes of McHugh and McCall, who have gone into the pits, and Guglia still stays up front. So Ryan in the chat room, Ryan Gill, one of our commentators and head admins, he said that there's potentially a penalty coming out for Guglia and touching a back marker in that situation. So that was something that I didn't even consider. So again, it's not for us to make that decision. And if the stewards do suddenly award a penalty coming through, we just need to be aware of the fact that maybe there was a little bit of contact coming through, then might be slapped on the wrist a bit. So that could change up the way that his race goes. If that's not the case, then no love lost, and Guglia and Lawrence continue with the same battle that we've got here for the next 20 minutes or 18 minutes now, as we've actually gone sub 20-minute mark.
Say the racer in me wants Guglia and Lawrence to just keep going at it, just not stop, because their pace and racing is just so good. But Guglia did go, it seemed like he went a little bit too aggressively through that back mark. I think it was the I don't know the number, but it was a white car and it spun when they went through it. So maybe he touched it there on the back or something and it spun, but I hope the guy in me hopes that he doesn't get a penalty. I want to see these guys race it out until the end. They've got 20 minutes left.
Devil's advocate side in me says that perhaps the blue flags being waved out are an indication to move out of the way, and you're just staying on a racing line with guys racing for position, and you're slower because you're back on track, so you're not going to have the same pace. That you need to be predictable and get out of the way where you can. But again, Guglia needs to do things safely as a lead driver, so all of those things get considered in a process with the stewards, and that's why there are stewards involved, and not just one person. There's a whole tribunal of people to discuss it.
That is very true. I must also say, being I've done a few races where I was a back marker, and seeing the first guy come up with you at such a fast speed, you sometimes just don't think straight anymore, and you just make a mistake. Maybe that's what happened.
Or run. I have to interrupt you because this is exactly where Lawrence wants to put himself. Can't get it done before having the inside line, and will have to back it out. I'm sorry, I had to jump in there because Lawrence is starting to get very, very eager to get himself up into first place.
He wants to get past. He sees 17 minutes left on the clock. That's about, what, 20 laps or so, maybe? But he will get past. I think Jadwat, I might have gone with Lawrence, to be honest, but beggars can't be choosers, and I'm sticking with Jadwat.
Well, I mean,
Lawrence
you can't change. You can't change now. I mean, you already picked Jadwat.
No. Yep, I did, and I'll stick with that.
I'm not going to let you back out of who you picked to start the race with. Guglia, my pick, let me just let you know, having a good race up the front. And I hope that that does not add like a commentator, because I feel like I've added it already by saying that. By humble bragging that the driver I chose up the front might be in for some humble pie, because the likes of Martin Lawrence not going to be one to let Guglia get away with this for free. He's going to be charging him every step of the way. And will he have a look somewhere like the chicane? No, he won't, because that's not where you can. I mean, you can tango in a lot of places. You cannot tango in the chicane.
Especially not with back markers in front and behind of you.
The only way that passes work at the chicane is where someone sends a dive and the other driver gives them space so that they don't die. That is the only time it works.
Yeah, so you basically have to push the one down all into the other side of a chicane. A chicane to me is always a really dodgy place to do overtake, but if you do make it stick, nothing is more pretty than having a decent overtake in a chicane. It's just so smooth and buttery, but yeah, it's not an easy thing to do.
McHugh
I see
and
Lackey has
McCall,
got a drive-through penalty.
he does, and that's not going to be good for him, considering he hasn't even served his mandatory stop. So expect the number 28, Alexander Lackey, to be dropping down the order. Radislow, McHugh, and Morgan McCall, though, these two in 7th and 8th, they continue to try and find who's going to be the victor. And right now, Radislow McHugh, should I say, is doing a much better job at just showing his defensive driving techniques. Going to force Morgan to go around the outside here. And this is going to set him up for the inside line for the second part of this first almost chicane section, but it's not really what you want. So it's all about the drive out here. And where does Morgan try and go? Does sort of decide that not really what he wants to do. And again, McHugh going to be able to just fend off from moves like that, because you've got the racing line, you've got the faster way through. Matches and Kraus, much the same position, and into the right-hander they're going to go. Matches, beautiful work on the brakes, but Kraus even better, gets through under brakes, and Matches runs a little bit wide. Kraus going to be coming through some of the backmark traffic. The 441 going to move himself out of the way. It's a responsibility of everybody to have respect on track, including back markers, including front markers. You've all got to have respect to be able to do what you want to do out here. And right now, trying to hunt up 4 positions is Kevin Kraus in that BAJS V12. 11th place for the moment. Pit stop still to be served for Lackey as he finds himself, or Guglia, Lawrence, Steinklaus, all going to have to go into the pits. So things could change up actually quite a little bit coming in. Will be interesting to see. I mean, decent gap from Lawrence to Stein. 12 minutes to go. Gonna have to choose a pit stop at some point. Are our front runners, and right now it's just look at the train. You just wanted the cameraman to be able to stay there for a little bit longer, because it was just V12, V12, V12. And I mean, I would do sound effects, but we don't need them with the soundtrack. McCall inside here. This is where he needs to be, and it will be key to also getting into the fray there in that green and Lumo green accented V12. So McHugh is kind of defending against a driver that's been blue flag behind him. Doesn't want to get maybe himself unlapped at this stage, but Morgan gonna not really complain about that. It's kind of, you've got to move down on a driver for position, and then you've got a back marker that's kind of keeping the driver that you've taken that from busy. So yeah, not a bad position for McCall to find himself in. Radislow McHugh going to be trying to shake the pressure of the back mark. That is Stephen Key, right? Oh, that's Billy Octane that's chasing him down for position. So I completely misread that. I thought that it was Key's car. So it is Octane for position. I wondered why a backmark would be chasing so closely. And of course, it's Octane, and he's had a great pit strategy. Let's just let that be known. He was way down the order, up into 8th place here with 11 minutes to go. And McCall and McHugh both within sights. And a lot of pressure being made up here. So big apologies out there to Billy Octane for thinking that he was a backmark driver with a different name. But he's actually up here putting some pressure on. And the number 33 going to be trying to get up towards maybe even into the top 5 with, you know, maybe someone's strategy goes wrong up front. Good position to be in. And Radislow McHugh, hands full, defensive work going to be there. McCall already looks like he's departing on holiday in France and not going to be sad to leave these two behind. But Billy Octane does want to get through this. Doesn't want to be holding
Billy Octane is putting so much pressure on McCoo. So much pressure. You can see he wants to get by. He's just fighting. McCoo's making this Vantage so wide. It's going down the inside, showing him that he's there, showing him that he wants to go, hoping that he makes a mistake that he can capitalize on. These guys are going head to tail. Oh, Octane is all over the back of McCoo. Left to right. Down the center, braking, showing him. Going to the left.
He really is. He is really trying to find some sort of place past him. And a lot of the time, it's you know, kind of you're faking those moves onto maybe a fake dive, but then tucking back in, hoping that the driver in front is busy looking in his mirrors and has missed a braking point, and you can then apex better. So it's all like head games that you're playing in there. You'll get onto the flashes from time to time as well. Just let them know that you're there. But Billy Octane all over the back end of Radislow McHugh. And the number 137 really has had to defend. Had to defend out against Morgan McCall for a while. And now has his hands full of Billy Octane. I honestly blame Billy Octane driving a triple R livery that doesn't have bright colors. I mean, the green just completely caught me off guard. I think, you know, in British racing, green in honor of the Aston Martin for sure, but it completely caught me off guard. So different triple R livery. Not sure that I'm a fan of this paint job, and I definitely prefer the brighter colors coming down. Here's the move. Let's see what Billy manages to get done. Will set himself up for the inside of the exit through, but look at them, still side by side. They come down. Billy Octane, can he squeeze around the outside? He'll go once again, and it will be Radislow McHugh to Radislow McHugh is just really, I don't know how he's managed to find such defense amongst the attack that Billy's throwing down at him, but he's holding off, and he's holding off well. So Radislow McHugh, what a drive coming out for now. Billy Octane trying corner by corner as they come into the mid-sector to catch up and find something. But it is really sector 3 that we see Billy really dial in to the back of McHugh and sets himself up for the first braking point of turn 1. The cut back here for the left-hander. Billy Octane is going to get us excited even before we get down the start-finish straight. These two are not easing off one another. What a drive from both drivers. They've given each other room where they need to, respect on track, and it is just cold, hard racing. And this is what you want to see. Up to the back, this is where we see Billy carrying the speed through. Does have the slip then for the start-finish straight. Right-hander to end out that lap. And we'll just go on to the splitter cam temporarily as we watch McHugh get absolutely munched up by Octane. Down the start-finish straight, they will pull alongside one another, setting themselves up for the right-hander. McHugh going to give himself the inside for the exit. Where does Octane brake? He's a car length ahead, and he brakes later, and it is a great move coming up from Billy Octane. He's held on to it. McHugh, does he get the cut back this time? We saw him lose out early on as Octane, but he hasn't this time round, and the number 33 gets the work done. Kraus also wanting to see if he can take something off McHugh, because these two have been costing each other. Kraus inside Big Sen. I think McHugh had to go ultra defensive and actually avoid that dive coming down. Car length back, big dive, and McHugh actually That's a big
That
dive.
was a
That's
dive. That was
an
a
Olympic
dive.
10 out of 10.
He licked that and sent it. What? But I must say, Octane did really well to get past Maku. That was methodical, lap after lap. You could see him chasing in a corner, waiting out of a corner, going a little bit to this side, going a little bit to that side, and he eventually made it past after 3 or 4 laps that we've been following him. What a brilliant move from him. It seems he's pulling away from Maku now, so I'm not sure if Maku held him up or not, but
Well, it's Kraus. Kraus is now the one that's got through the likes of Maku, and Kraus is now onto the back of Octane almost immediately. So Octane not going to be able to get any breathing room in this battle. He's now onto the fence. He's very wide through the chicane. That's a lot of curb coming through. Do they collect with one another a little bit? I don't think so, but the 33 going to be slower out here. He's going to lose this down the drag race. He needs to recover. He needs to go into the slip and maybe try and recover. There he goes into the slip. He knows he's lost out, but does he get this back coming down? I'm not sure he's going to have the brakes. Big gap being left open by the number 1 of Kraus, but it's not going to be where Billy Octane is able to put that triple R car, and we are not left for a moment until we see Guglia and Martin Lawrence up on the screen, just leading things away. Kevin Kraus still just gets past Billy Octane, and Octane now doesn't want to let this be the way that the race ends for him. He's had a good race at getting all the way to the front, and this is where you want your strategy to work out. So putting the Triple R number 33 in a good place. Kevin Kraus, in last 3 laps we've watched him take 2 positions. One of them a little bit felt like taking candy from a kid and then like laughing at them for the dive. But you know, the stewards, if they look at it, they look at it. Sometimes you as a driver, you've avoided it, right? You've given the space, and the line is there. I don't know how those are always called. I'm glad I'm not a steward, and I'm not glad I have to make those decisions, nor have the positions robbed off me. I get to sit comfy in the comms box and broadcast the action. Jan Matjes has got Stephen Keith. You see, this was the car that confused me earlier at Billy Octane. They're completely different looking, but it's grey, and yeah, I just I got a little bit confused out. But the 007 of Key on the back end of Matches not having the best of races in terms of where he potentially could have finished up, but had a good couple of battles and has definitely showed people what it's like to go through the ups and downs of racing. And right now, just outside the top 10, not a bad place to find yourself as you round out almost into the last couple of laps, and you don't want to lose these ones. And we've said it before with Billy Octane, we'll say it here with Jan Matches, these are the ones you don't want to lose out. Guglia and Lawrence still have to go into the pits, let me remind you. Claessens finds himself in 3rd place after the pits have been served out by the other drivers around. Staying in 4th, McCall up into 5th. So a good drive coming out from the top 5 for now. 3 minutes to go. Pit stop still to be served. Jan Matches and Stephen Key still fighting it out. Bowler and Steer fighting it out as well. Declan Bowler in that number 95 doing a good job to just hold off the likes of Steer to keep himself within the top 20. And that's rounded out by Bashir Jadwad, who also has a 15-second, quite a few time penalties to come post-race here, Ruan.
It would seem so. Guglia, as we suspected, did not get a penalty earlier, so him and Lawrence are still going at each other, still haven't made a pit stop. So that is going to be really interesting, seeing who pits first and who doesn't. Sorry, I'm just looking at the replay now. Going.
So it was Key putting Matches, so it was Key putting Matches under pressure into that little snake left-righter, and not a place you can normally put the car side by side. Matches actually going to lose out again as well. So that's Renault that's trying to come through. Does he get past Key here now? Because that would then be 2 positions that he's made himself up, and it is going to be a drag race down. Good line coming out from of course, Renault in that white Aston Martin. Going to have the inside for the exit here, which is critical. Doesn't even need to have that. Gets later on the brakes. Makes it look like everybody else is just looking for parking.
So it seems like
Morgan.
we'll be...
So Guglia and Lawrence are going to go into the pits on the last lap. And they are going to try and see where those... I mean, you've seen undercuts and then you've seen overcuts. And this will most certainly be one of the longest pit stops between two leaders on the final lap. So it'll be interesting to see where they came out. I mean, they've been less than a second between them since the entire start of the race. McCall under pressure from Kraus, but Kraus with a 5-second time penalty. So McCall maybe going to be able to sort of time that out, know that even if he keeps him just ahead and will negate the penalty, then doesn't have to have the pressure of maybe having someone coming into the back of you whilst pressing or pushing for a position. Again, it's all about that that decision-making process. So Guglia out of the pits ahead of Lawrence, and this will be the final lap coming down for our race here in the special event V12 Vantage Cup here at Barcelona. RCI TV bringing you the action on a Monday night. Massive thanks to our partners, RaceDepartment AK Informatica, Raceface Speed Labs, and Next Level Sim Racing for partnering up with us and making this all possible. Jake Boswell, the man behind the cameras, and of course Ruan Kraling joining me in the comms box. My name is George Smith, and here we go for the last sector of this hour-long race. Guglia having done the work halfway through to get past Lawrence after a small mistake, and then it has been class driving from him. Does Lawrence have something to give back here in the last couple of corners? He's going to have to find something soon because that gap is diminishing, and the chances to get that done are slowly seeping away. And right now, Guglia doing everything that he needs to do. Does Lawrence try to see something into the chicane? It's not there. The door's not open from Guglia. Exit comes out. Guglia should wrap this up. Doesn't lose it out of the final corner. And the 898 is going to go down at the start-finish line. Pick up the checkered flag ahead of Martin Lawrence, who finishes just a couple of tenths behind him. And of course, Quade Claasen's then a third place going to come out for him. So a good practice session. Does find himself up towards the front of the order at the end of the race, and that's where you want to find yourself. The 1, 2, 4 now will come through the final chicane, and he will most likely get third place unless you run out of fuel and you don't coast over, but that's not going to happen here. The 1, 2, 4 flashes lights, takes home third place to wrap up the podiums just ahead of Stain for fourth. So that's a good battle between those two to get to the line. Now it's up to Octane. Well, have they already? No, they haven't finished just yet. I thought they had already crossed the line. Kraus will finish in 5th ahead of McCall, who finishes in 6th place. Billy Octane, Richter, Kent, Renault, McCoo, Key, they're all going to start to cross the line as well. So big finishes coming out from a lot of drivers. And massive racing all around from the drivers that entered up tonight, Ruan.
It was amazing racing. These guys are so quick and they are so consistent.
We're getting some Drifty Boy celebrations from Guglia.
Guglia is so happy. I would be as well. What an amazing drive by him and Lawrence. They were just back and forth the whole time. I think Lawrence might just be kicking himself after his mistake, running a little bit wide, opening the door for Guglia, and Guglia just capitalized, and he kept that in the bank all the way home. That is for sure.
You couldn't have summarized it better. I mean, Guglia had to put himself into the right place and be there at the right time to benefit off of, Lawrence's small mistake. And it was a massive drive between the two of them. Massive drive from all of our drivers, in fact. But yeah, those top two, they gave us a battle all the way. And Guglia celebrating all the way down to the line. He's loving the V12 for drifting. So if you see Alexander Guglia quitting ACC to go do some drifting in the V12, you know, where he saw that first. And this is what I like to see. I mean, I'm a big drift fan.
Enjoying it.
Yeah, you know what? This is. Does he lose it? He had to. He was I wanted to say, you're doing this too well. You have to at least do one 360 nose scope before the end, and he does. Googlia, our race leader, and he will go into the pits, and that will conclude really our racing this evening. Ron, do you have any closing thoughts before I sign us out here?
I just want to say to Octane, what a brilliant race. I don't know why it just stands out for me. That was just brilliant. But I enjoyed it. To Lawrence and Guglia, guys, brilliant race. I really top class. Top class racing from everybody. Everybody per se.
So guys, you heard it here. It was top class driving, a top class event. It's been a great evening of racing. Mondays couldn't have been spent better myself. Really loved it out here. So from myself, George Smith, and Rowan Grayling in the comms box, and of course Jake Boswell, the man behind the cameras, bringing us all the fancy camera angles. We would like to wish you guys a good evening or good day, if that is your time zone that you're joining us from. Of course, Racing Club International, very famed for being international. So from wherever you have joined us, thank you so much. Big shout out to RaceDepartment AK Informatica, Raceface, Speed Labs, and Next Level Racing, our partners. We will be back with you guys again. I normally have a full schedule of things that I know about when we'll be live again. But to be honest, I'm not as prepared this time around as I would. So you just have to keep your eyes on Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, that's where you can find all the events. So I'll pretend that that's why I didn't tell you, but I can tell you. There is one event that I would never forget, even without a calendar, and that would be a Porsche Cup starting next Monday. So if you guys haven't had a Porsche Cup in your life, I tell you now, come and join us for the Porsche Cup. It's going to be marvelous. We'll see you next Monday.